Hello, my beautiful family. Hey, you got a second?
Vote now for our nominees, Dunning, Derek, and Caleb Kruger, nominated by Glubby McGloveface, Glowman, and myself, the secret partner. They are the epitome of the Dunning-Kruger effect. To quote Derek, let's dig in.
This is a good one.
Hey, Globe Earthers, I want to see you explain this one.
You may think flat Earth is stupid, but NASA? They sure don't.
For the love of God, send this video to your favorite Globe Earther and send them to me.
This is Derek. You may remember him from such episodes as when he drove all around town looking for the moon.
We got the moon halfway out right here, and then we've got the sun out right here, okay? But the moon disappeared. It disappeared. And that ain't possible on a globe or a flat earth. It is nowhere to be found. I have literally driven all over town, and this damn thing is gone. It is gone, son. No moon. There's the sun, but when you look around, but the moon disappeared.
The first rule of Dunning-Kruger Club is they don't know they are in Dunning-Kruger Club, and Derek is unaware.
Wonder if that's why Obama was always like making fun of flat earthers.
The lesser known second rule of Dunning-Kruger Club is that members are incompetent in many topics. Derek is so accomplished at the second rule of Dunning-Kruger Club that he's been promoted to be a professor at the Dunning-Kruger Institute for kids who can't science good and want to learn to do other stuff good too.
Oh, you seem to believe that the flat earth is a ridiculous argument, do you? All right, let's do that.
1,000 miles per hour at the equator, on average, every other place, 700 miles per hour in the America, other places like that, you know what I'm saying? You get the point. We're falling backwards eastward. That's why the sun sets. Light doesn't travel forever.
Most people will choose to just mock flat earthers instead of looking into it. Have you ever asked yourself, why would anybody put themselves through the attack and the ridicule that comes with being a flat earther?
Over on my podcast, over on the podcast, we podcast.
People who are willing to go through that, they're doing so for you.
Check out the podcast. Check out my podcast.
Why would anybody want to be treated the way flat earthers are treated?
You're going to want to check out my podcast. And if you're looking for a podcast, check out my podcast. You're going to want to check out my podcast.
Somebody out there is trying really hard to mislead you.
Think about it. Lighthouses, right? Said it before, I will say it again. Something's going on at the North Pole.
We join him today for a lecture on the topic of horticulture, a topic which he knows nothing about.
I'm over here at the park, just walking around, and I found this massive field of strawberries. The unfortunate thing for these strawberries is we care more about grass than we do food. So they're just gonna get mowed over by the end of the day. They're all strawberries. We live in a society where it is more normal to grow grass and mow over the food than it is to grow the food.
Sorry, Professor Ick, that's not a strawberry. If you weren't such a distinguished member of the Dunning-Kruger Club, you might have spent 10 seconds searching to discover that strawberries have 3 leaves.
Have you ever wondered why rainbows are the shape that they are? Isn't it kind of odd that they take the same shape every single time? Have you ever wondered why this is impossible to recreate inside your house? Because you need a prism.
All right, hit the water. Bailey, hit the water. Austin, you can leave the light on. All right, so here we go. We're gonna see if we can see a rainbow. There, we can see it already. So there's what looks like a full circle rainbow. Let's get in here. Over the top. And let's get a good angle.
In my opinion, it's pretty obvious that the shape of the rainbow is caused by the firmament.
Being a flat earther is extremely ostracizing. Random people you meet, they're gonna think you're crazy.
The Earth isn't spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. The Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour eastward. Why don't we spin under the clouds? And the heliosexuals. The Earth is supposedly holding all of this atmosphere, this air, perfectly. The Earth's flat, and the atmosphere's moving, not us.
Good luck finding a relationship. I'm back.
Most of my videos are about me just asking questions about the globe model. I want to show you guys what it's like to be a flat earther and battle the propaganda. I just wanted to let you guys know that you're doing an amazing job. How would sea level work if the Earth were a ball? You want to know why you can't see Polaris in the southern hemisphere, do you? Alright, let's do that. The object just needs to get far enough away from the observer that the angle used to view that object reaches 1 arc minute. I ask questions like, how does helium form the gravity that causes the Earth to orbit the sun? Or I'll ask, how does an airplane fly over the surface of a ball and not need to adjust for the curvature? What I'm about to point out
Should make your skin crawl.
feeding you misinformation. Guess what? Google, they are in on the globe Earth lie. Google is not only in bed with our government with this, but they are also in bed with our government with the globe lie.
The Earth isn't a level plane, you dummies. It's a ball, spinning around the sun. Spinning. On a tilt. Orbiting. Going 4.4 billion miles a year, but all of the stars stay in the same exact positions, not getting further away from each other, expanding or contracting, but the exact same spot.
the crescenting moon is not caused by the shadow of the Earth, why do you think that you were taught that?
You are definitely gonna find this a little bit odd if you critically think enough. So we all know the brightest object in the sky is the sun. Second would be the moon. And I don't know what you're thinking, but the third, I would think, should be a star. Definitely not a planet, because a planet is supposed to be a rock, and how could that be brighter than a sun that is emitting light? This is what they're trying to tell everybody, what Venus looks like, and you have to believe that the light is hitting this surface and reflecting back brighter than every other thing in the sky. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. You have to believe that these rocks that are supposed to be orbiting us are all reflecting light back to us, which just doesn't even account for the inverse square law of light. If you look into that, every time you double the distance of a luminary, it becomes a fourth of the brightness, but don't mind that when we're talking about, that's when emitting light. That's not reflecting light. Anyway, I don't believe in planets. Minus the T. That's why NASA says T minus. Take the T out of Satan, spell NASA. But no, I don't believe in any planets at all. There's no planets in the sky. We are not on a planet. I think that every single person on this earth should remove that word from their vocabulary, honestly. We're on a plane, dude. A plane, an infinite plane that could go on forever for all we know if we were allowed to go past the Antarctic wall. But I don't believe in this. I don't think that we're on an oblate spheroid. Know what you're thinking? Well, what about the pictures in the time lapses where it seems like there's another southern pole star? Wouldn't that suggest that we're on a ball, right? No, this is how perspective works. So say this is at the equator. You go more south and you're going to get a star trail that at the bottom of the firmament going around looking like there's another southern pole star, but there's not. Again, this is just due to perspective. So when you're seeing these star trails do this, you're just seeing the bottom of the firmament.
People out there, they refuse to give this argument the time of day.
The earth is flat, and I understand that. But how they don't know how they're going to coexist with all the heliosexuals that surround them and their family and friends. People ask me, Caleb, is your family awake to flat earth? Most of them, and the ones that aren't, again, are not willing to talk to me about the subject because I have so much knowledge around it, and they can't disprove me, so it makes them mad. And a non-rotating earth. The earth is flat and non-rotating. We point out the idea that dinosaurs were completely fabricated to hide the giant human remains that people were finding all over the world.
They want you to think you are an accident, so you willingly surrender your humanity. These evil monsters who are running the world need your energy.
It's me or these guys. It's me or these guys. Subsonic, supersonic, Masonic. Seriously, something's going on here, guys. The Earth is not a ball! Don't believe in space. Just maybe the sky above us is like a clock. Oh, and all of our ancestors were flat earthers.
You know, all you're doing is showing the world what the globe is all about. It's about division, name-calling, and mocking the people who have a different view than you.
You thought. I wonder if that car outside your house is me. Wonder if your mom made it home safely or not.
If I was a globalist, I would make everything so complex that most people would not want to try to figure it out. If I was a globalist, I would convince you that you were an insignificant accident on a rock. If I was a globalist, I would prevent you from finding wisdom. If I was a globalist, I would put it all over the news and the TV. If I was a globalist, I would teach it to you before you were young enough to question it. If I was a globalist, I would teach all of you to mock, ridicule, and harass anybody who speaks out against my lie. If I was a globalist, I would keep you unhealthy and tell you you are healthy. If I was a globalist, I would be spraying things in the air and I would tell you it's for your own good. If I was a globalist, I'd be putting chemicals in your water and I would tell you they are for your own good. If I was a globalist, I would be changing your food so it's not healthy and telling you it's for your own good. If I was a globalist, I would turn everybody on each other so they can never find the truth. If I was a globalist, I would be sitting on top with all the money from your hard work. If I was a globalist, I would take over the food, medicine, water, and education to convince you you're nothing but a lost speck. If I was a globalist, I would convince you that you're just an evolved monkey. If I was a globalist, I would report all truth videos. If I was a globalist, I'd have these truth videos removed from the internet. If I was a globalist, after I have these videos removed from the internet, I would pretend like I want a debate. If I was a globalist, I would pretend like I'm better than every one of you. If I was a globalist, I'd be doing everything within my power to maintain this lie so you never find the truth. If I was a globalist, I would convince you that 70 is a ripe old age. If I was a globalist, I would convince you that you are not a creation. If I was a globalist, I would convince you that your God is evil. If I was a globalist, I would convince you that putting people down is how you get up. If I was a globalist, I would be an evil monster.
The next lecture from the derpy professor is about the location of the moon landings and moon phases.
So you really believe we landed on the moon, do you? All right, let's do that. In this video, I am going to prove to you beyond any argument that this moon landing was in fact fake. You watch this video, you will never believe the moon landings ever again. Let's dig in. What we are going to do is dissect the alleged Apollo 17 moon landing. As you can see in this video, the moon is clearly lit. Would like for you to notice that this photo happened on December 11th, 1972. Is on this day that Apollo 17 landed on the moon. Or did it? How am I going to use this photo, this mission, and that date there to kill this argument? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to locate the alleged landing position of Apollo 17. If you were to look at the area of the moon, you would see this crater, and Apollo 17 is right next to that crater. Is it in the daylight or is it on the dark side of the moon?
Apparently the faculty at the Dunning-Kruger Institute don't get full-size computers to do their work. Don't worry, though. I've got a full-size computer, and I have a higher resolution picture of where all the landing sites were.
I'm no expert or anything.
You're right. You are no expert, and you should have stopped right there.
After watching this, I don't know how you couldn't vote for these two. They are the biggest Dunning-Kruger candidates on the globe.